Okay guys, 1978 Ford Mustang King Cobra is getting new rotors today. New rotors, new bearings, new all that good stuff. I have a feeling that the rotors and bearings actually used for this Mustang were not for this Mustang. I have some bearing slag, which I will show a video of here soon. And I'm getting new tie rod ends. So passenger side, I'll show you that real quick. I know this is supposed to be about the windshield wiper motor. I'm getting to that. Passenger side, look at that bend. So not only do we have a bend here, but if you look at the sway bar, look, sway bar totally disconnected. End link has been cut. So changing that rotor out to a new rotor similar to the other side. But for now, windshield wiper motor. Okay, this drove me nuts. I went through 2 windshield wiper motors before I finally figured out what was going wrong and why I couldn't get it to work. So, Ford, typical. This is the original windshield wiper motor I pulled. They are in underneath a firewall. On the driver's side, it is mounted up like so with 3 bolts. Okay. And if you find that you've narrowed everything down, you can disconnect your windshield wiper motor from in underneath your dash. You'll see a lead that looks like this, okay? And on the other side, the lead coming from your switch, you can test your voltage. Your red is your constant. So this should be providing you 12 volt constant power on the red. If you switch it on to medium, it should be the red, and one of these other colors should light you up for power. If you switch on to high, red and I believe blue. Okay, if you do that, run through your switches and you find that you are getting power from 2 sources, and when you're in the off, you only have power from 1 source, then your switch is good. Do not switch your switch out. Here's the thing that drove me nuts. So, what about the ground? So Ford, in their infinite wisdom, decided to create a ground within the motor. And by bolting this to the firewall, you are grounding the motor. Fantastic. So here's what I found. This little washer right here. Don't know if you can see that. See that little copper band? That is your ground. Okay, what I had problems with and what I was running into is over time, this little copper band pushes up and doesn't quite get the ground that you need in order to run the motor. Okay, what I did in order to prevent that was I pushed this little copper guy over, and actually with a flathead screwdriver, I pushed it in between here, so I actually got mine to fit right there. So you want to take a flathead screwdriver and push this little copper band and make sure it's touching this side of the motor. Why is that? That will give you a constant, consistent ground instead of relying on the crappy little washer. So this crappy little washer, like I said, lifts. Okay, and if everything has been driving you nuts and you haven't figured out why your windshield wiper motor doesn't work and you're sure it's not the motor, this is why. Turn this little guy around like this, press it up against the motor, go ahead and plug this thing in, mount this up against your firewall. What I did, again, was I put a flathead screwdriver and pushed in the copper, made sure it fit right snug in between here. I also, for good measure, put a washer on top that mounts and basically squishes onto the body. That gives me a secondary point of contact for the ground. And voila, windshield wipers work. So if your windshield wiper motor is driving you bunker nuts, that is why. That is your ground. Okay, good luck.